So good morning again, and welcome back to the class of user interface design. So in this class we'll begin with web guidelines and style guides. So web interface design issues have also unleashed a plethora of web specific design guidelines and style guides, many of which are found on the web itself. So if you search on the web, you can find hundreds of design guidelines which you may follow. In the previous class we just gone through some of the guidelines provided by the government for Indian government websites. Okay, there are many departments of Indian government, and every department has got its own website. Okay, so similarly private organizations may follow their own guidelines. There are guidelines set by www or Google or IBM. You can follow any one of their guidelines. Today many uniquely web standards and guidelines are evolving by trial and error method. Okay, so things are being tried to see what works best. The de facto standards are being established when an overwhelming majority of big sites focus on one way to do something. Okay, so how exactly the guidelines are made? When many people start using certain guideline or certain style, then it becomes a guideline. Okay, that is what basically it is done through trial and error method. If everyone starts liking that, so many other websites also follow the same. Okay, so the next is document design. It includes the checklists to present principles and guidelines. So we have already seen, I'll show you again. So this is a checklist. Okay, so these are the guideline, these are the checklist, for example. So this is a checklist. Okay, so provide a rationale for why the particular guideline should be used. Again, there should be a reason why that particular guideline has to be used. Provide a rationale describing the conditions under which various design alternatives are appropriate. So under for your website, if that particular guideline is not suitable, then you can use some alternative guidelines or alternative style. Okay, then include concrete examples of correct design. So rather than just talking in an abstract way, just try to provide some examples so that the users can understand. Design the guideline document following recognized principles for good document design. Okay, provide good access mechanisms such as a thorough index, a table of contents, glossaries, okay, and checklists. So first one is checklists and rationale. We have just gone through that. Provide the checklists for presenting key principles, key principles and guidelines. Checklists permit ease in scanning, ease in referring to key points, and make a document more readable by breaking up long sequence of text. So what is the advantage of using the checklist is, the first thing is you don't have to go through the long text, okay, where you may forget the information. So if there is a checklist, and if you take a printout of that, then you can just go on checking one. So once one guideline is satisfied, then you can put a right mark on that checklist box. Then concrete examples. To be effective, a guideline must include many concrete examples of correct design. So many people just go on talking in air, and if someone asks them give the perfect example, they can't. So instead of just talking in air, everyone has to give a perfect example, so that demonstrate a perfect example so that users can follow that. Then document design and access. Always design the document, be it paper or electronic, by following recognized principles for good document design. So just don't neglect this part of the software development, that is document design is very necessary. Then Design, support and implementation. The first one is available reference sources. So use all the available reference design source in creating your guideline. So that is what exactly I shown you. This is that is how the Indian government has listed various references. So you can just follow any one of these references. So you can see here perfect markup validation service. So like this. Okay, so the next one is tools. Use tools that support I don't know here, just 1 minute. Okay, sorry. Use tools that support implementation of the guidelines you have established. Use tools that support implementation of the guidelines. You cannot simply go on giving the excuses that I don't have tools to comply with those guidelines. So you have to have those tools, so that okay, whatever you develop should be in compliance with those guidelines. Then applying the guidelines. Two questions often asked are: it is too late to develop and implement standards? The first question. And what will be the impact on systems and screens now being used? Okay, so I have already designed half. Okay, I mean half of the system is already designed, and now if someone asks me to follow some certain guidelines, so the first question I'll ask them is it too late to develop and implement these standards? Okay, so the second question is, what will be the impact on the systems and screens now being used? So whatever screens and systems that are currently being used, whether they have to be remodified or reconstructed based on these guidelines, or is it okay to use the same? The next one is system training and documentation needs. The first one is training. System training will be based on user needs. So if the user is already acquainted with good knowledge about the system, then he may not require any sort of training. If he is a novice user or inexperienced user, or if he has not used a similar kind of system, then definitely he may need a prolonged training. Training for more number of days, based on user needs, system conceptual design, system learning goals and system performance goals, etc. Training may include such tools as formal or video training. Okay, formal training in the sense you can go to their workplace and give them the presentation, or you can go to their workplace, use the system itself to demonstrate them, or you can use the video training like what we are doing now, or manuals can be distributed, or online tutorials, reference manuals, quick reference guides, and online help can be provided. So there are many ways to train the users. Myth is the problems can be handled with documentation and training. So the documentation is, system documentation is a reference point, a form of communication, and a more concrete design, words that can be seen and understood. Documentation again plays a very important role. If the user doesn't understand something straight away, he can go to the documentation and understand what problem he is facing. Okay, so that completes the second module. Thank God. So in the next class we will start with the third module. Okay, thank you very much.